Imagine standing on the most remote inhabited scrap of land on the planet, where the relentless Pacific wind howls across volcanic plains and ancient stone giants stand guard over the crashing waves. This is Easter Island, a tiny speck in the vast ocean, beckoning those who crave the ultimate edge-of-the-world adventure. It is a destination that defies the ordinary, offering a visceral connection to a past that feels simultaneously alien and deeply human. Reaching this isolated outpost requires a formidable journey, a 5-hour flight from the South American mainland that strips away the noise of the modern world. Unlike breezing through the Schengen area, the European zone of borderless travel, arriving here feels like a true expedition into the unknown. You must navigate specific entry protocols, often far more stringent than a simple visa on arrival, a permit granted at the destination port to protect this fragile ecosystem. You land at a place that feels entirely detached from time, where the very air vibrates with an unsolved mystery that has baffled explorers for centuries. The towering Moai statues dominate the horizon, colossal figures carved from compacted volcanic ash, some reaching over 30 feet into the sky. Their deep-set eyes and stoic expressions command absolute reverence, anchoring the landscape with a silent, heavy authority that demands your attention. The sheer scale of these monoliths dwarfs the human form, forcing you to crane your neck and marvel at the impossible weight of history bearing down on the grassy plains. Local traditions explain that the Rapa Nui people, the Polynesian navigators who settled this island around the year 1200, did not just carve these figures as mere art. These megaliths were living embodiments of deified ancestors, designed to project mana, a sacred spiritual power, over the villages they faced. Every chisel mark tells a story of devotion, a physical manifestation of a society that poured its entire soul into honoring the lineage that brought them across the treacherous ocean. Walking among the remnants of these ancient settlements, you cannot help but confront the sheer logistical impossibility of their creation. How did a prehistoric society, equipped with nothing but stone tools and woven ropes, transport stones weighing up to 80 tons across miles of rugged, undulating terrain? The question gnaws at every traveler who sets foot on the island, transforming a simple hike into a thrilling intellectual puzzle. Expert guides advise starting your exploration at Rano, the massive volcanic crater that served as the primary stone quarry for nearly all the island's monuments. Here, the sheer scale of the operation reveals itself, with hundreds of unfinished figures still half buried in the slopes, as if the carvers simply dropped their tools and walked away yesterday. Navigating the dirt paths around the crater requires sturdy footwear and a keen eye, as the grassy terrain hides subtle carvings and ancient tool marks. The atmosphere inside the crater is electric, charged with the phantom echoes of thousands of ancient artisans chipping away at the bedrock. You can almost hear the rhythmic striking of basalt picks, the chants of the workers, and the collective heave of a community united by a singular, monumental purpose. It is a profound realization that this was not a place of slave labor, but a vibrant, collaborative workshop driven by deep religious conviction. For decades, archaeologists assumed the islanders relied on a brutal system of rolling log rollers to drag the monoliths from the crater to the coastal platforms. This theory painted a picture of immense physical struggle, requiring hundreds of men and vast amounts of timber to conquer the unforgiving landscape. It suggested a brute force approach to engineering, one that seemed at odds with the sophisticated artistry of the carvings themselves. But the oral histories passed down through generations of islanders offer a far more captivating narrative, one that defies the rigid assumptions of early European explorers. The legends insist that the statues were infused with such potent magic that they did not need to be dragged at all. They simply walked to their destinations. Hearing this tale while standing in the shadow of a fallen giant ignites a sense of wonder, challenging you to look beyond Western logic and embrace the mystical worldview of the Pacific navigators. Following the ancient transport roads that radiate out from the volcano, you begin to see the landscape through the eyes of those masterful engineers. The pathways dip and curve, littered with the broken remains of giants that fell during transit, silent witnesses to the perilous nature of this sacred migration. The topography itself becomes a character in the story, a formidable adversary that tested the limits of human ingenuity and strength. Modern archaeological experiments have shockingly validated those ancient legends, proving that the concept of statue walking was not a myth, but a brilliant feat of applied physics. Teams of researchers discovered that by tying ropes to the head of a D-shaped moai and pulling rhythmically from side to side, a small group of people could rock the massive figure forward. The statues were engineered with a center of gravity that allowed them to waddle, much like moving a heavy refrigerator across a kitchen floor, guided by the coordinated tension of the ropes. Witnessing a replica totter and step across a field today sends a shiver down your spine, collapsing the centuries and connecting you directly to the genius of the past. It transforms a static archaeological site into a dynamic story of human innovation, proving that ancient minds were every bit as sophisticated as our own. You realize that the true marvel of this destination is not just the stone itself, but the invisible threads of knowledge and teamwork that animated it. Yet the triumph of this engineering marvel was intimately tied to a creeping environmental decline that would eventually fracture the society. As the obsession with carving and moving larger and larger figures grew, the island's delicate ecological balance was pushed to its absolute breaking point. The very success of their monumental architecture sowed the seeds of their vulnerability, a stark reminder of the cost of unchecked ambition. The lush palm forests that once blanketed the volcanic slopes were systematically cleared to create agricultural land and to aid in the complex logistics of island life. This deforestation triggered a cascade of ecological consequences, stripping the soil of its nutrients and leaving the inhabitants vulnerable to starvation and conflict. Exploring the interior of the island today requires confronting this harsh reality as the relentless sun beats down on landscapes that were once shaded by towering canopies. When you hike the rugged northern coast today, the stark, treeless beauty of the terrain serves as a profound monument to this ecological tipping point. The wind whips fiercely across the barren grass, whispering a cautionary tale about the fragile relationship between human ambition and the natural world. Embracing ecotourism, a style of travel focused on conserving the environment and improving the well-being of local people, is now absolutely vital when navigating this delicate landscape. Standing before Ahu Tongariki, the largest ceremonial platform on the island, the sheer magnitude of the Rapa Nui achievement washes over you in the golden light of dawn. 15 colossal figures stand shoulder to shoulder against the roaring Pacific surf, their silhouettes burning into your memory as the sun breaches the horizon. The vibrant popping colors of the sunrise against the dark, dramatic ocean create an unforgettable spectacle that rivals any wonder on Earth. This specific site is a masterclass in resilience, having been entirely reconstructed after a devastating tsunami in the 20th century scattered the multi-ton blocks like pebbles. The restoration effort highlights a modern dedication to preserving a heritage that was almost lost to the relentless forces of nature and time. Much like the awe inspired by Machu Picchu, the iconic Incan citadel set high in the Andes Mountains, the sheer willpower required to rebuild this sacred space leaves you breathless. Renting a rugged 4x4 vehicle or a mountain bike is the ultimate way to unlock the island's hidden corners, far removed from the handful of tour buses. Navigating the dirt tracks that weave through the interior reveals secluded coves, hidden cave systems, and solitary statues that have not seen a crowd in centuries. The physical exertion of pedaling against the fierce ocean winds rewards you with an unparalleled sense of discovery, transforming you from a passive observer into an active explorer. Every shadow cast by these stone sentinels invites a deeper introspection about what we leave behind when our own civilizations fade. The journey here is not just about checking a legendary destination off a list. It is about confronting the raw, beautiful, and sometimes tragic realities of human existence. The silence of the abandoned quarries speaks volumes, challenging you to reflect on the sustainability of modern life and the legacies we are building today. The island demands that you slow down, breathe in the salt spray, and listen to the stories etched into the very bedrock beneath your boots. It challenges every traveler to look beyond the iconic postcards and engage with a living culture that still honors the monumental legacy of its ancestors. The modern descendants of the original carvers continue to protect their ancestral lands, ensuring that the spirit of the ancient navigators remains a vibrant force. Leaving this isolated paradise, you carry away much more than photographs of ancient rock formations. You return to the world with a profound respect for the unbreakable spirit of a people who commanded stone to walk, leaving an eternal mark on the edge of the earth. The echoes of the chanting artisans and the rhythmic sway of the walking giants will follow you long after the flight departs, a permanent reminder of the limitless potential of human determination.